Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to HDF Scholar Spotlight. Today, I'm really excited to be welcoming our students for social justice who are HDF scholars. So I'm going to go ahead and let them introduce themselves, and then we'll kick off and tell you a little bit more about what Students for Social Justice has been up to and how you can all get involved in supporting them. So let's go ahead and get started. Jasmine, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Yasmin Bruno Valdez. I am currently a sophomore at Donnelly College, and I'm also the president of the Students for Social Justice. I will be graduating this May, so very, very soon now. And I'm hoping to transfer into Rutgers University and study political science and nonprofit management.
Hi everyone, my name is Hugh Juarez Avalos. I am a student or a freshman at Donnelly College. As of right now, I am wanting to go study film at UMKC. Like I'm going to transfer to UMKC and study film. Right now, I'm just trying to finish up my associates at Donnelly and then transfer to UMKC.
Um, I'm I'm Daniel Zavala. I am a freshman at Donnelly College as well. I am the spokesperson of the group, and my plan is that after I complete my 2 years at Donnelly, I want to transfer to Rockhurst as well and hopefully get a degree in criminal justice.
Hello, my name is Ruby Perez Vasquez. I am a freshman at Donnelly College and vice president of Students for Social Justice. I am majoring in business, and I actually also own a small business called Ruby's Raspados KC. You'll see us on campus sometimes.
So why don't you tell our audience more about what you all started with Students for Social Justice? I know this is a brand new club organization this year. And so if you can tell us a little bit more about the inception and, kind of what your mission is and how things have been going for Students for Social Justice.
Yeah, okay. So Students for Social Justice is we started as a club at Donnelly College. One of the main reasons why we started this club, well, all of us are co-founders. We all consider each other's the co-founders of the club because we were like the main people who basically put this whole idea of wanting to bring inclusivity and service to Donnelly College and be able to create a safe space at Donnelly College, where usually sometimes students may feel like they don't have like a say um, in like these type of spaces in college. And we wanted to center around the idea of student voices being amplified in spaces where usually that they're not in. So the main premise of our group is really to amplify student voices, to amplify student stories, and make sure that they're heard.
Yes.
I remember like our beginning stages.
Mhm.
I remember it was just Yasmin and Ruby, like the ones who basically like were like fueron uña y mugre. Like they were the ones who basically were trying to reach out to people. And I remember like that when they presented this in my English class, I was like, I really want to join this. And so I did. And like their first project was, well, our first project was El Cambio para Cambio campaign, and where, I mean, if Yasmin, do you want to go more into it? Because I feel like,
Yeah.
that's more your territory.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, like Ugo mentioned, I mean, the the first day of this semester, I decided that it was, I had been at Donnelly for a year, and I knew that I wanted to start a club, but I wasn't sure if I was going to do it my freshman year or my sophomore year at Donnelly. And so, my sophomore year came, and I was like, I really want to build community. And at the time, I had just met Ruby through actually an HDF panel we had done. And so we started getting into contact over the summer. And on the first day of school, I was like, Ruby, we're gonna start a club. Like I made up my mind this week. And I remember I was also starting a new job. And so like it was just like everything, happening all at once. And I don't know how we both found the time, but we sat down and we planned everything. I created a PowerPoint, and then the whole outreach of like going into classrooms and presenting and asking students to join the club. The school year had already started, so clubs were already established, most of them at least. And so, ours was kind of starting off late. And then that same month, Alex sends us an email and it's like, hey, do you want to do this fundraiser? A lot of people have already worked on their plans for months. And, like you only really have like about a month to plan everything and execute it. And you have a lot of money to also, kind of handle. And so it was like a huge obstacle to overcome, but it was like the best thing, like because of the fundraiser, we were able to, get a lot of people to join our club at school, build this community that we wanted. And we were also able to fundraise a lot of money for our undocumented students. Ruby, how she mentioned she had a business, her business was able to, benefit off like the exposure of doing this fundraiser. My family has a food truck. And so my family was also able to kickstart their business and and all of this in the middle of a pandemic. So literally all these great things happening despite of COVID.
Yeah, no, I mean, that goes to speak to your determination and your resilience and your wit and your grit and all those things that people just throw words out there sometimes, but you all really truly live it every day. And I, have been privileged to follow the organization since you all started and just how much you've grown. And one of the things that I'm really impressed by was your Undocu workshops that you held last month, the whole series of them. That's not anything that any of us asked you to do. You all just saw the need for it and you did it. So how did that come about, putting together this series of workshops, and what was your outcome? How did it go?
So I remember like back in, I would say like in October, maybe so somewhere around there. I think after our Cambio para Cambio campaign, we were like, we want to do something, like we want to keep going. Like we
Mhm.
didn't just want to like do one thing and then the rest of the year get like it's all static. We really wanted to do something and we just started brainstorming ideas and we came up with the idea. We were like, we went from just saying, oh, we're just gonna help students with scholarships and all that. But then we were like, well, yeah, like we could do that, but what if we narrow it down even more and actually help undocumented students? Because usually they're the most vulnerable when it comes to applying for higher education and getting money because usually they don't get any federal funding. And we kind of like, we had that idea like put, but we kind of like, we revisited it back in like December and basically started planning from there. And from there, it was just mostly just us kind of constructing exactly how we wanted. We went through like a lot of like, what is it? This business models, not business models. You know what I mean? Like models as to how we were gonna do it. Like we were first gonna do January one session, February one session, and March one session. But we were like, no, because that's way too far apart. And that's why we ended up doing it like in February.
But yeah, we like as some students in the club being undocumented and going through the whole process of entering higher education, but having to do those 10 extra steps because not having a social, and we went through the process and we had resources now. Like I feel like some students in there were now like for real resources. And so we were like, you know what, like nobody's ever done a workshop like this for like specifically for undocumented students. Like it's always like a FAFSA night or a like scholarship night, but it's never based on undocumented students. And yeah, and at first it was just an idea, and then we actually started working on it, and then next thing you know, we have like event set up, and we're talking back and forth with like different organizers, and we made like a whole like mentor system where like throughout the month of February you had a mentor reach out to the student and just check up like how's this application going. For our first year, I feel like we did really, really well. Like it took a lot of time, and I definitely see why organizers are always super busy. But yeah, it was amazing and much needed. And we still have contact actually with some of the students who were at our workshop. Like we're actually helping a student tonight with a mock interview.
Yeah.
Oh, That's awesome.
Yeah,
Man. I was
and
going to ask if you had followed through with any of the participants, because I joined a few of your sessions, and it was really empowering for the students who were there, because I remember one of the first sessions, like people weren't speaking up, and then they were like chatting on the side or sending you messages, and then like as time went on, they shared their own stories, and I think what you were all able to do by empowering them and giving them their voices, just you can't put a price on that. And so really grateful for the work that you're all doing, especially because it's not paid. You all have jobs, families, school, and here you are doing something that you don't get like monetary, benefits from, but you feel the need for it, and you answer the call. So what is something that you would like to see happen like next year as your club is growing?
Well, for me, as we really, well, at least from what I've been thinking about, I wanted to also include like HBCU information,
Mm-hmm.
because that's also a really great resource for a lot of students. Um, I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be, connected with the undocumented workshop, but we could. But I feel like we can obviously expand even more. And I feel like from a year from now, we can most definitely have more people, more representation in our organization that can help us gather all that information. Because I know that like we were able to do that, like especially for me, like someone who has citizenship. Um, I went into this like really wanted to know like about these people, their experiences, because like I'm someone who's really passionate about storytelling, and I wanted to hear their stories and be able to help. Um, but I know that like even like there's a lot of students, minority students, who go through a lot of educational barriers, and we really want to kind of broaden it even more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, when you speak about Students for Social Justice, I know we're talking about the undocumented workshops, but you do so much besides just working with undocumented and DACA students. So I know, for instance, like Ruby has done some outreach working with students, Black students, right? And it was at Van Horn High School? Is that right? That you were actually doing some alley work?
Yes, my high school's has is known for censoring and silencing Black and Brown student voices in the district and in the school, and so the BSU took it online to like social media, and they're demanding change in the district. And yeah, it was just something that I did, with them and helped plan and support.
So even after you've left high school, and it pretty much like it doesn't affect you directly, right? You're still seeing that it's always going to affect you. If it's affecting our community, it's affecting us. So
Yes.
Yeah.
and then go ahead, Jasmine.
Oh, sorry. So yeah, like these are just a few things that the Students for Social Justice takes on, and like in the past, we've also like done like work community service for like a food pantry. There was like a day of action where we basically took all our students and we met up at the food pantry and we helped serve breakfast. And I know that like a lot of our students were really inspired by doing, that work, because you got to see, hands-on how much volunteering really impacts our community. Like I think we volunteered for 2 hours. And Danny, do you remember how many people we served? I think it was like 200 people, or like, do you remember that day?
Yeah, it
Um,
was over 200 people. Yeah.
and so like Danny even talked about like having a food pantry like drive or something like that. And we've done like demonstrations, and Danny's our spokesperson. So like a lot of the work that he does is connected directly to the school.
But also kind of make sure that we bring light to these issues that sometimes like they kind of just like get toppled down by other, like like they just get kind of buried, and we want to like highlight those stories, especially minority stories. And like even like we also did like a small segment with with LaSharis Thompson for Black History Month, where we highlighted a lot of key events in history that pertain to Black history, to Black folks. And like, for example, we did like a segment where we highlighted like Black stories in film and in the film and TV industry, or in the music industry, and even in literature. And so I think that's like us making sure that we're staying aware and making those, like, I don't know, there's like a word that I can't bring out, but like, we are always trying to tackle every type of injustice
Yes.
or issue or something in that nature.
And what I noticed about you all is that you're not, like, obviously you're all Latino, Hispanic Development Fund scholars, right? But I love that, like you said, for Black History Month, you had Black students taking over your social media, and you're not just doing issues that impact Latino, Latinx community, right? You're out there doing justice for any group that is underrepresented. People throw around terms like equity and equality and diversity and inclusion, but I feel like a lot of times they don't do the acts that needs to happen to make that true. And I see you all taking like real big steps that maybe sometimes are a little scary, right? Whenever you're out there speaking your voices, knowing, like Ruby said, that you might be censored or that you might be risking a lot. But at the end of the day, you're speaking your truth. And I know that that is very powerful, right? When we share our stories, we continue to say that, like, speaking your truth is just so meaningful. And so what is something that you are feeling with the pandemic, how it has disproportionately affected communities of color? What is something that our community, the HDF community, Kansas City, can do to help the communities of color that have been disproportionately affected? How can they join you? How can we do better?
There are many ways that people can support, even if it's just sending in $5 to a GoFundMe, or signing a petition, or even just going out to a protest that's nearby. But I feel like if they want to support us directly as Students for Social Justice, it's already enough for them to actually just keep going and doing like the protests, and following what we have, like following what kind of like our mission basically. But we just push to make sure that we lead students to have those conversations, and even those people who are allies of students, of especially minority students.
Definitely just like keeping up with our social medias, like we said, sharing information if we're sharing a story, and to keep centering student voices, when it comes to education and student issues, like make sure like you're centering them and like you're actually listening, like
Mm-hmm.
like I think we've set precedent of what we expect out of this club. Like every month that we were in school, we were doing either, whether it was like a small action, or it was like a big undocumented workshop that took like the whole month. We were doing something, we were like making a post, we were showing up, we were doing something that was meaningful. And so I think like for upcoming events, we'll be having a table at the Multicultural Festival that Donnelly pulls on every year. And so, and like, even though we're like a group at Donnelly, we still kind of hold Donnelly accountable for like their actions, because like no university, no college, nothing, no educational institution is perfect. And so we should always strive to be better and to grow. And so our Multicultural Festival is an annual thing. We do it every year at Donnelly. And I realized that we talk about diversity, and we talk about how awesome it is that we have all these cultures, but how are we doing our jobs to be sensitive and be empathetic and be understanding, be welcoming of all these cultures? How are we training ourselves to dismantle our biases and to like not be offensive of all these cultures? And so definitely like that's something that we're taking on this upcoming month, is where I'm going to like have our table and like we'll do like a racial bias training, you know, like do you like there's like little quizzes we can do, like measure your bias and be like, because once you acknowledge it, then you work to dismantle it, you work to destroy it, and you work to be better. And so that's kind of like our small action in April. And then, you know, I've recently been able to know how to like been trained to do know your rights presentations. And so my next goal is to do one at Donnelly for all our students, and for maybe parents if they want to join us, you know, because like know your rights are important not just to undocumented people, but to everybody, because we should all know our rights. And so like there's a lot that Students for Social Justice is ready to take on. And these are just like in April, like, you know, these are things that are coming in April. Like we don't even know, you know, what are we going to do during the summer and next school year, you know, like when we get more members. So yeah, there's a lot of growth and opportunity here.
And I think that's really cool too, Jasmine, because even though like you're leaving, you're transferring to Rockhurst, but you know, now Ruby, Hugo, and Danny, they're gonna steer the ship. But now they're gonna have you at Rockhurst, and then when they transfer to other institutions, right? It's not like you're leaving it at Donnelly. You're taking you're branching out in essence. So Students for Social Justice doesn't start and I mean it doesn't end at Donnelly, right? You're just growing your network. And you talked about representing all the groups that, you know, are not currently being seen. And I know you said something a little earlier before we got on the call about the Asian community. And you say you're doing something right now to be an ally to everything that's going on, right, with that community.
Yeah, so we don't really have a lot of, well, in our group at least, we don't have a lot of representation in Asian American Pacific Islanders.
Right.
But the demographic at Donnelly of Asian Americans is really high. Obviously, like there is no excuse for us to basically just stay silent on these issues. We are going to be making a post, I think is going to go up tomorrow, to address that that certain concern in our group, but also like, you know, in our community. But we're also we're also going to be supporting any Asian American person or Pacific Islander person who wants to like hold a protest. I know some people, someone from our school actually hit us up and were like they wanted to start a protest, and we want to support them. Obviously, we don't want to you know, be the one, you know, just like basically guide it all. We want to give them like their opportunity to be like the one who leads it, but we'd give them a platform basically. And that's what Students for Social Justice is. We want to support other students in their endeavors, and we want to give them an opportunity to go out and speak loud and be loud for what they are passionate about. And we want to support our Asian community in that aspect, Asian and Pacific Islander community.
Yes.
Yeah, we knew that because of the lack of representation in our group, we can't start something new. You know, it's more like plugging in and see what other organizations are doing and how we can support. Like that's like allyship. But we did have a student from our school hit us up like, hey y'all, I'm ready to do something, you know, like I want to do something, and can y'all help me, can y'all support me, like whether it's at school or somewhere else. That's kind of like what we're looking into right now, what we're doing. But yeah, we don't want to take away from the boys, we don't want to center our voices, it's centering their voices.
I just wanted to wrap up because I know we've been talking and we could talk for the whole evening because you'll have so much interesting things to teach me and everyone who's listening to us. But just so people get to know you a little bit, what is something besides, you know, Students for Social Justice, that's just a little side project because you all do so much. But if people wanted to know one thing about Jasmine and Danny, Ruby, what is something that you would all like to share with us?
So I would like to share, like, I'm an older sister. And so, like, my whole thing is like taking care of those that are younger than me. And, everybody except Danny in the group is younger than me, I think. I think me and Danny are about the same age. But like I feel like I am an older sister to all of you. And so I'm just like really happy that I get to work alongside such great people, such great students. And so they truly inspire me. And like I feel like I wouldn't be at the place that I'm in, and I wouldn't go after every opportunity that comes my way if it wasn't because of such a great support system that I have at school. And like just that, like, this work is so important, and I haven't met such passionate people. It's really awesome to see, people my age doing this work, because like I've been part of like the Case Mala group, and like, it's mostly like me and Frida, and like it was like, oh my goodness, like I love Frida, but like there's other students out there, that are just as passionate. And so it was awesome to find this community here at Donnelly.
I actually originally was going to go to school for engineering. I wanted to be a civil engineer. But then the pandemic happened, and I ended up not going to K-State, and I ended up going to Donnelly. And then I ended up, during the summer was when I opened up my business. I was finally like, you know what? I'm going to stop being scared. Like, I'm going to do this. And I did, and it actually went really well. And I loved making all the decisions and planning and brainstorming and like having my culture, having my like activism of showing my culture, like it was blended perfectly together. And I love ice cream. I love sweets, like when it comes to ice, like cold. So it was like a perfect blend. And so when school started after the pandemic, I was like, you know what? Like, I don't want to go into engineering. Like, that's gonna make me work for somebody else, and I don't want to do that. So I changed my major to business after like the first week of school, and yeah, that's kind of a little like project story of mine.
I probably have already told the story, 1,000 times, but I mean, I didn't even plan on going to college at all. I didn't think I would have a future in education, and honestly, it wasn't anything I thought I was gonna last long. I thought I was going to last like 2 weeks in college, and I'm like, you know what? I tried it. I'll just go back into landscaping with my dad, and that's just gonna be my life. I had to sell my car. So first of all, I needed a ride to school every day, and I knew I was a hassle. And honestly, it only added on the fact that probably I'm just not cut out for college, right? And it sucked. But then I met Ruby and Yasmin and Hugo, but the first one I talked to was Yasmin. I remember because we shared a psychology class together, and she's like, hey, can I have a piece of paper? I'm like, yeah, cool. And the next time, hey, can I have a piece of paper? Yeah, I got you. And then after that, I just always had a paper out for her, ready,
Oh,
just in case. And then we got closer to each other, and then we bonded, and it was like the first time I ever had a friend at school, and because I felt alone. I felt extremely alone. And then I remember I told Yasmin, I'm gonna follow in your footsteps, queen. And to this day, I'm still following her footsteps. I've been trying hard a lot at school, and just recently I got an invitation to join like Phi Theta Kappa. And I'm just like, okay, that's pretty cool. But it's just like, honestly, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be in the club. I wouldn't be honestly anything if I hadn't met these amazing people. And even though, like, as you saw, like, I don't talk much, I don't really speak a lot, I will still help them with anything. I'll always have their back no matter what. And I may be ironic because I'm like the spokesperson, right? I'm supposed to talk a lot. But even on the days where I don't talk a lot, I just hope that they know that I'm always here.
Just wanted to say, like, just quickly, like, changing your major is literally okay because like I think because like I remember back in like when I was in high school, I really wanted to do political science because I wanted to be a lawyer. But then I was like, you know what? I don't want to do that. I wasn't passionate about it, and that's when I kind of realized I didn't even know if I wanted to go to school anymore. But then like I met these people and like they inspired me in so many ways, and like everything like it just be more passionate about students, like being passionate about social justice and activism. Like that's what led me to go into what I want to do, like what I want to go into, like and major in film. Um, I really am starting to become more passionate about storytelling and wanting to portray like these stories in a different manner and bring them to light. And because of them, like they're inspiring, literally inspiring. And I literally cannot thank them enough for everything and all the efforts that I put into this is because of them.
So as we close off, I want to leave with just one sentence from each of you of what it means to be an HDF scholar.
I feel like I always say this, but it's literally so true. Like talking to Alex, talking to any other HDF scholar, it's always like my thing is always si se puede y si se pudo, because it literally can happen and it literally did. So
Okay.
si se puede y si se pudo.
For me, being an HDF scholar means so much. Like HDF was one of the first scholarships that I knew I could apply to, like all of my other classmates. Like it was open opportunity for everyone, like that. Like it wasn't like, oh, because you're undocumented, like they're gonna close it off to you and so you can't apply. And the fact that it was catering Latinx students and it was centering our voices, it meant everything. And so to me, whenever I tell my mom, like, you know, HDF gives me a scholarship, like there's so much pride and there's so much honor that comes with that. And it just means that I get to make my family proud. I get to make everybody at HDF proud, and I get to represent such an amazing organization.
I mean, like Yasmin and Ruby, HDF was like one of the scholarships that I applied to and actually got. And like it was like a very like pivotal moment because like I that was like the first one I got, and it really did put a smile on my face, like after rejections. But I feel like being a part of the HDF family, it means like that basically means what it means to me is to be a leader in a community, to basically lead others and be and show by example. And yeah, I think that's exactly what I think an HDF scholar is.
So I remember the day I sent an email to Alex saying, "Hey, I'm interested in this," and I never expected on honestly just getting a response back, but I did. And I remember first meeting ever, I just told her my story, and it felt weird. You know, it was the first person who was not in my family that I ever told my situation about. And instead of being met with like rejection, I was met with like acceptance. And I didn't really think anything much of it that day. I was pretty happy. And since that day, what HDF has meant to be was a second chance. And honestly, I think that alone is greater than the scholarship itself.
It's an honor to be walking alongside you all, and you just inspire me to do what we get to do every day. So thank you again, and look forward to continue working and learning from you. So
Yes, thank
Okay.
you, Alex, for having us here, HDF.
thank you, everyone. Pa'lante.